Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Israel Wake Up. It's our Women Advanced Bible Study night, Thursday night, the 9th of April 2025. We'll be reading out of the book of Jubilees for our topic for discussion. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel to Israel Wake Up. Check out our videos. We have over 100 or so videos that you can look at, examine, and get the truth out. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Israel Wake Up is our sister channel to Prophets of Awakening. Okay, for those that don't know. This is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called book of remembrance. Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Redeemer and our Savior, the Lord of hosts. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms. We have a women's health moment, current events, some needed no information. Then we'll open it up for anybody with questions and comments and dialogue. Then we'll go into our topic. Like I said, we'll be dealing with the book of Jubilees. Okay, we'll read and break it down the scriptures. We'll pick a scripture out of the Tanakh, and we'll read it and break it down. Then we'll close out. Okay. So with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come this day, bow down, honoring you, praising you, and believing in you. We thank you for your wisdom and your knowledge that you have poured out upon us. And through your prophets, you have revealed times that we as Jacob's children would endure the tribulation. Keep us, O Lord, and guide us and deliver us. And we see you now within the Holy Scriptures, and we trust you, O Lord, with all our heart and our soul. Keep not thy silence, but shine forth on our enemies with thy power and thy great glory. Peace be unto you. Okay. I'm going to read the Psalms. Okay. Okay. I'll read Psalms 8. It's God's glory and man's honor. The Psalm of David. O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth, who has set thy glory above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings hast thou ordained strength because of thy enemies, that thou mightest still the enemy and the avenger. When I consider thy heavens, the works of thy fingers, the moon and the stars which thou hast ordained, what is man that thou art mindful of him, and the Son of Man that thou visitest him? For thou hast made him a little Lord and the angels, and hast crowned him glory and honor. Thou madest him to have dominion over the works of thy hands, and thou hast put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, yes, and the beasts of the field, fowls of the air, and the fish of the sea, and whatsoever passeth through the paths of the seas. Excuse me. Our Lord, our God, how excellent is thy name in all earth. Okay, so one thing I want to shine a light on is when you go back to the order, it says in verse 4, Psalms 84, he asks him a question: what is man that thou art mindful of him, and the Son of Man that thou visited him? Here in verse 5 says, for thou hast made him, which is the man on the earth, thou hast made him a little Lord and the angels, and has crowned him with glory and honor. So that's my point. Verse 5 says, for thou hast made him a little Lord and the angels, and has crowned him, right, with glory. So like I said, just like I said, when you read the scriptures and you see Lord, you got to figure out what Lord it is in this scenario or in this story. You got to find it's more than one Lord. And Lord only means master. So right here, glory. He says, verse 5, thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and has crowned him with glory. So Michael got glory. Yahweh has glory. Man got glory. So you gotta understand what glory it is. Like I said about the throne, David, or the story with Benjamin and Joseph. Joseph had a throne in Egypt. Michael got a throne. Yahweh got a throne. You gotta know what throne you're dealing with. And that's this is where these Edomites came in at. They didn't trick that off where you know, you thinking it's one thing, but it's something else going on. Any comments?
Shalom. Shalom, everyone.
Okay.
Um, in verse 1, when he says, um, um, sorry, Lord, our Lord, O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in the earth, who has set the glory above the heavens. Now, O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name. That's the Lord of hosts,
Exactly. It's a,
Michael.
it's a, it's a, yes, it's an Israelite man talking. David in particular, he's talking. He said, "Oh Lord, his master." So yeah, he's talking to Michael, Lord of
Yes.
hosts. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So we are on our women's health moment.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. Please note that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on detox water, also known as spa water. Detox water is simply water that has been infused with herbs and fresh fruits. As the fruits and the herbs infuse the water, they impart a refreshing flavor without adding any calories. Water intake is essential to our health. It helps remove fat cells from the body, increase the body's metabolism, and also helps control cravings. Staying properly hydrated is one of the most essential things to do for your overall health, along with eating a healthy diet, exercising regularly, and getting enough sleep. Because the body cannot store water, we must constantly provide and supply it with water to maintain our body's many functioning systems. Water is by far one of the body's most essential nutrients, but drinking plain water can be a challenge sometimes. It has no authentic flavor. But with homemade detox water, we perk things up by adding fresh fruits and herbs for flavor and additional nutritional benefits, making it a little easier to drink. There's nothing more refreshing, cleansing, and hydrating than a tall glass of chilled detox water. Detox water is great for replacing high calorie snacks, getting you to drink more water in general, helping you through times of cravings, general detox, and extra energy. Here are a few tips for making detox water. Make sure you choose fresh fruits and herbs instead of frozen or dried, and use spring or purified water. Exact measurements aren't necessary. And also try to only make a pitcher at a time. Detox water can be consumed every day as part of a healthy diet. It's an excellent and tasty way to ensure you stay hydrated while also enjoying the potential health benefits provided by the ingredients used. I will be reading Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 1 through 14, God's mercy towards Israel. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Lord thy God hath driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whether the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. For if any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. 7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thee, upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecute thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord, and do all his commandments which I command thee this day. And the Lord thy God will make thee plenteous in every work of thine hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land for good. For the Lord will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers. 10. If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, and if thou turn unto the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. 11. For this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven, that thou shouldest say, who shall go up from us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do to it. 13. Neither is it beyond the sea, that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. 14. But the word is very nigh, unto thee, and in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. Tonight's discussion was on detox water, and I read Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 1 through 14. Shalom, everyone.
All right, so that what you were just reading at the end is saying a lot when you read it for what it's saying. The Lord of hosts, when you understand who it is that Israel is dealing with and who's the God of Israel, he's telling you he's not in heaven, so that Yahweh in heaven. He said he's not in heaven, but he's nigh unto you. He's all the time. I've been right here, but right here where you at, which is the Lord of hosts. He's been there. We know it can't be Yahweh because he can't deal with flesh. He's a consuming fire. He'll consume it. So when you understand what was being said, like I said, he's telling you, I'm right here. I'm on the earth. He's the God of the whole earth. I'm the one that's here. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna move on to our current events.
So tariffs are paused, but the chaos continues. And you know what they say about chaos? It's really bad for business. Pretty soon it could hurt brand America. The United States has always been seen as a safe bet. Want a stable currency? Use the US dollar. Want a trusted government bond? Buy from the US Treasury. Want to store your gold abroad? Just ask the Federal Reserve. This is how things have been run since the Second World War. It is a system designed by the United States, and it is backed by their military and economic heft. But could it all be unraveling? Well, the signs are there. Germany is thinking about bringing back its gold from the United States. As you know, every country has a gold reserve. They stock up bullions for stability. But some of those bullions are stored abroad, mainly in London and New York. Why is that? Well, London and New York are key financial hubs, so it's easy to sell or pledge the gold. Plus, security is a big concern. Say your country is under attack, your enemies take over the gold vaults. You would lose access to a key source of money, and this is why countries store some of their gold abroad. Germany has a lot of it. They have some 3,300 tons of gold. Out of this, 1,200 tons of gold are stored in the United States. But some German leaders now want to bring it back, and that includes a former German minister. They want to bring back the gold, or at least inspect it. Why? Because they do not trust Donald Trump. Technically, the gold is on US soil. Imagine the US government deciding to take it over using force. What would Germany do? Would they send soldiers to New York? I know it sounds like a far-fetched scenario, but German leaders are worried. They feel it is better to be safe than sorry. I'm sure other countries are also discussing this concern. India, for example, has been bringing back its gold. New Delhi stores gold in London, New York, and Basel, Switzerland. But recently, a lot of it has been brought back, nearly 200 tons in the last 2 years. 200 tons of Indian gold has been brought back. Now, India's reasoning was different here. The Reserve Bank of India felt confident about the country's economic trajectory. Hence, they decided to repatriate the gold. But Donald Trump adds a different dimension to the campaign, the dimension of trust. Can you trust America to safeguard your gold? As of now, this is just a question. There is no global campaign to relocate gold from America, but the mere debate is a story in itself. It tells you how trust is eroding. Just look at the US dollar. In the year 2000, the dollar made up 70% of global reserves, 70. Countries like to stock up the dollar. But now it has fallen to 57%. Same with US government bonds. It's seen a very safe as a very safe bet by investors. Normally, they stock up on US bonds when there is uncertainty. But this week, despite the chaos, investors sold US bonds. Why? Because of eroding trust in the United States. And America has only itself to blame for this problem. They created this whole system after the Second World War, and they put themselves at the center of it. Fair enough, they won the war, plus no other country had the will or the power to do it. But when you become the centerpiece, you must be trustworthy. You must avoid politicization, and that is where the US failed. They weaponize global financial services. They weaponize the dollar's dominance, and they use the system to further their gains. So naturally, countries pushed back. Of course, Trump is adding to that chaos. Until now, only American rivals were pursuing alternatives, but now even allies like Germany are doing it. As I said, these are just conversations for now. But if they gain momentum, they could signal the end of America's financial dominance. Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India. Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India. What we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Okay, any comments on that? It's like it's lining up with scripture to me. Everybody all of a sudden goals coming to the forefront. Anybody else? Okay. We was talking about April 20th, right? And what they're supposed to be, this Trump administration is supposed to be having planned for April 20th. Check this out.
How do you define luxury?
From Colombia were extradited and returned to American soil to face American justice. Just the other week, 29 Mexican narco traffickers from Mexico were repatriated here
to Trump FBI chief, cross-eyed
to America to face American justice. Just in that group alone, you are talking about over 5,000 kilograms of narcotics that would have poured into our country. And you'll see the type of damage that just a little bit of fentanyl
got 10 days to the 20th
can do to our children. And we're talking about thousands and thousands of kilos. Yes, that is a national security crisis. But the good news is the men and women of law enforcement, in conjunction with the brave warriors that we have in Congress, who have the courage to stand up and fight for their representatives and fight for their constituencies, are leading the funding and legislation we need to make sure we get this mission done. This is not going to be a short-lived process. Certainly at the FBI, it is something we wake up to every single day and go to bed every single night. the thought is singular. What is the best way we can safeguard our citizenry? What are we doing worse? What are we doing better? And what's in between? And when we have those answers for you, you see them delivered in the halls of justice in the courts across this country. And that's the great work that is the tip of the spear. But there is so much work behind it from state and local authorities. We are getting after it, not just where the media normally covers. And I want to highlight the following. The violent crime that plagues our country is also plaguing those on tribal lands. And we are not going to treat them any differently. They all live in the same America that we live in. And they face the same crises that we face. So we will work with our state and local partners on all matters that are affecting tribal lands and Indian reservations to make sure their children are no longer trafficked, to make sure their women are no longer raped and go missing. This mission must be 24/7, 365 from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. But beyond that, we must go extraterritorially, like I just told you about. We must go down to the furthest reaches of the planet to make sure that we bring you the justice that you have voted for in this new administration. And we will, and this is my promise to you as the director of the FBI for as long as I'm in this seat, we will never, ever stop fighting violent crime. That is the priority of the FBI along with national security. And we will put every resource and every manning that we have on that mission.
So it sounds like to me setting the stage for May 20th, calling this crisis, emergency crisis. Like I said, we know this guy right here, Hapsick, and the other lady, this over Homeland Security. They number gophers for Trump. So it looks like they got it. They setting up the stage to try to call martial law. From my perspective, I'm looking at it. Anybody else got any comment?
Shalom. Yes, sir. I agree on that about the martial law. And also, which I have gotten way, way away from this Easter Day thing. That's on the calendar, Easter. So by them having that, they know people will be out and about or want to go out and about. And once they pull the martial law, they would have a reason to, because they know how people or those Christians celebrate that holiday that they consider JC being risen from the dead.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, got some need to know information right here.
The Federal Reserve is quietly preparing a multi-trillion-dollar bailout, and it's all because one of Wall Street's riskiest hedge fund trades is imploding fast. While stock markets whipsaw and trade war tensions with China escalate, a much bigger crisis is brewing just underneath the surface in the bond market. But this isn't just a problem for Wall Street. Hedge funds are blowing up, liquidity is vanishing, and the Fed is eyeing a multi-trillion-dollar injection just to stop the bleeding. But if this spiral continues, we could see mortgage rates rise, retirement counts disappear, and even bank bail-ins threatening you and your financial security. So how did the safest asset in the world, U.S. Treasuries, become the epicenter of systemic risk? What does this fallout mean for you and your financial future? And most importantly, how can you use this knowledge to protect yourself before it's too late? Let's get into it. In case you missed it, last week I reported on a massive vulnerability in the US Treasury market that almost no one is watching, the hedge fund basis trade. Now, it sounds boring, safe almost, to exploit tiny price differences between US Treasuries and futures, but here's the problem. They're doing it with massive amounts of borrowed funds. We're talking 10-to-1 leverage or more. These hedge funds, they're betting hundreds of billions on what should be tiny, stable spreads. In fact, these hedge funds now hold roughly $1 trillion of US Treasury securities, meaning that they account for 11% of the entire market alone. So if they're forced to unwind, the exposure could balloon upwards of $8 trillion. Now, typically, when the stock market plunges, we see money flood into bonds as a safe bet. But this past week, we've been seeing the opposite, a bond market sell-off, causing a lot of volatility. And for these highly leveraged funds, any small shift is dangerous, but this kind of volatility is deadly. So who is selling and causing all of this? Well, this is where the plot thickens. See, as trade war tensions with China grow, it is the lenders behind the hedge funds, these large financial institutions, who are getting spooked about being paid back. So they are pulling liquidity from the hedge funds. They are saying, no more, we're not going to roll over these loans. And they're issuing margin calls, essentially demanding that the hedge funds put up more collateral. And as you can guess, these over-leveraged hedge funds, they just don't have it. So what are these hedge funds doing? They're initiating their own doom loop. They're scrambling to raise cash by selling off the only asset they have left, US Treasuries. Yes, that's right. The safest asset in the world, US Treasuries, is being dumped en masse by hedge funds. But this wave of forced selling, well, it's creating something we have seen before, systemic risk. The same phrase that prompted the 2008 bank bailouts, except this time it's not banks, it's hedge funds. And this time, instead of $700 billion, we could be staring down a multi-trillion-dollar bailout. Don't believe me or don't think it's going to happen? I'll prove why it's not only possible, but very likely. First, 2 weeks ago, before Treasury yields spiked, financial experts and insiders were already urging the Fed to create a hedge fund bailout tool, meaning this crisis wasn't a surprise, it was anticipated. And in their minds, they already have the answer, the solution, a bailout. Second, this already happened in 2020 when margin calls hit Treasury futures, the same thing that's happening right now. What happened? The Fed stepped in and pledged trillions. We already know how this plays out. Third, if you want hard proof that something is breaking right now, that it's not just temporary volatility, all you have to do is look at the SOFR spread, the secured overnight financing rate, a key indicator in measuring bond market stress. When it drops, it means banks are panicking, liquidity is drying up, and we are in trouble. Let's look at it together. You can see right here that spread drops to a record low, meaning that the system is seizing up. In simple terms, money is not flowing. Institutions are dumping even high quality assets just to raise cash. This chart alone shows us that this system is screaming things are not okay. But here's the scariest part. The unwind has only just begun, and the Fed, they're cornered. Either way, we lose. If they choose to bail out hedge funds, well, we already know how that plays out. Inflation will skyrocket, and it will be you and I who pay, while those who were reckless with their debt will walk away untouched. People scared.
I think you've got to think of the unintended consequences of taking a public that has more full faith and confidence in the banking system than maybe people in this room do.
These are the people who make sure your deposits are safe. Let's call it what it is. The government offloads their debt onto banks. Banks then carry the risk, and burdened by the debt with all of these losses, you become the backstop. But while all of this is scary, and I hate to be the one to sit here and tell you about it all, there is one piece of good news, which is that you still have time. Although all of this is happening quickly, we are still in the early stages of this hedge fund wind down, meaning you can still take action. The first thing I recommend is get clear on a plan, have a strategy in place. Make sure you understand the risk that you're up against and how you can not only survive, but thrive on the other side of this.
Okay, any comments on that? Okay, we're gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments, or any dialogue about anything that came across, anything they heard on this channel, and Prophets of Awakening that you want to discuss? Open up the conversation.
Shalom. When Trump put the 125% tariffs on China this week, here, what that's going to do for, because now they're saying when they was mentioning about the gold buying and what have you, and China's working with Mexico and Canada to still try to bring in goods through those ports. Is those goods that they're trying to bring in that people are still ordering and had back orders on, is that going to raise the prices? Are they going to be recharged or charged to get those things if they can't get through those ports? Are they going to drop they're going to refund the people their money? Or the companies their money, since they can't get those? If China's not going to apply or comply to the 125 tariffs on them, what's going to happen with the I've seen things in stores, different things that's not on the shelves anymore. What's going to happen to those stores and then the economy, which we do rely on China with a lot of goods? Do you have any insight on that?
It already started. Those businesses are gonna collapse. And as far as the goods, that's the whole thing with him, Trump. Reason why he's trying to impose the tariffs, because of people looking for an alternative. So being that it's more people amongst those BRICS countries and the countries associated with BRICS than there are. It's a bigger market than the American market. So they was trying to find an alternative to the dollar, but they still wanted to have a global reach as far as their products. But when Trump done this, they just exiting out the American market. They looking at making their money in the other markets around America. They don't have to deal with them. And that's why it's backfiring. He didn't realize that. He's not hurting nobody but the American public. And now, and because of his actions, the American public can turn against him. So he had no other choice but to retract what he was talking about, because it's not working the way he thought it was going to work. What he had factored up in his head, it ain't working. And anybody could have told you that. The whole world is they turned the whole world against the dollar because they weaponized it. So these people already had a problem with America already. And so when he did this, they just exiting out the American market. They're going to take their goods to all the other places and make their money like that.
Shalom. I know I hadn't said anything prior to the tariffs, but Ronald Reagan had made a statement that tariffs is good, but only for a little while, not to extend it no more than a limited time, because if not, it would be a terrible thing for the United States. And that's probably a memo that either Trump ignoring or just didn't hear, I'll say. Do you remember Ronald Reagan making that statement about tariffs? It's good, but not for a long time.
Yeah, they've been bringing it up, but that's exactly what Trump doing. You know, he had the tariffs, and then he came back and recanted on them, and then he came back and brought them back. So what's happening now? I don't know if anybody on here are aware of it, but now the Democrats can open up an investigation against a lot of those Trump cabinet and a lot of Trump followers for inside trading, because he's intentionally collapsing these markets, and the people selling all our stuff off. They coming in knowing what's going to happen, buying all the stuff up at a dirt price. Then he come back and bring it back take the tariffs off and they go up. And so now people have figured out that these Republicans, they've been, they're doing insider trading. So they got a big investigation going on. It started, I think, a couple days ago, and it's starting to blow up. They got Margie Green. She's one of the major ones. Hapset, all those people, they got them, they're under investigation. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so with that being said, I'll play this here and then we'll start reading out of the Book of Jubilees. Okay, let me see. Okay.
It's another day of Donald Trump, the toddler-in-chief, behaving like a baby. Trump is just such a joke at this point, and his followers still believe he's like playing 4D chess. Like, no, this is a 3-year-old that just discovered free will and crayons. That's more in line with how Donald Trump's presidency feels. And every day it just gets worse, because now Trump has just dropped a total and brutal bombshell on the military. How's it going? My name is Hunter Avalone with Occupy Democrats. Welcome back to another video. Now, Trump's childish shenanigans are only worsening, as now Trump and China seem to be escalating the impending trade war. China initially responded to Trump's tariffs by saying that they were going to add on an additional tariff as a response to Trump's tariffs. Trump said they need to take those tariffs off or else he was going to add even more tariffs. Of course, China did not listen, and now this is the result.
It was a mistake for China to retaliate. The president, when America is punched, he punches back harder. That's why there will be 104% tariffs going into effect on China tonight at midnight. But the president believes that she and China want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get that started. And the president also wanted me to tell all of you that if China reaches out to make a deal, he'll be incredibly gracious, but he's going to do what's best for the American people.
So China has to call. Yeah, what did I tell you? Toddler brain. He doesn't even know how to do math. Trump continuously demonstrates that he does not understand how the overall market truly works. The United States is successful because we import and export various different materials for cheaper. That's why American goods are supposed to be generally more affordable. When Trump escalates these tariffs, all he's doing is making the consumer suffer. And you don't even have to believe me. It's already happening, because now some clothing stores even are adding a tariff surcharge. And you can see here that the tariff surcharge added an extra $44 to the overall total. But it's not just the consumers that are taking a beating. Small business owners and businesses across the board are also suffering. In fact, one small business owner just recently sat down with MSNBC to discuss how and why Trump's tariffs destroyed his business.
I mean, for a lot of folks who aren't in business, you stand back and you say, you managed to survive a global pandemic. What's different this time?
What's different this time is we don't know. Like yesterday, tariffs from China was 54%. It looks like tomorrow containers that I'll receive, I will have to pay 104%. You can't plan a business like that.
Do you all remember when Donald Trump pretended to be a populist? Remember when he pretended to care about the regular working class? He was just like everybody else, Not anymore. I guess it was more profitable to not do that. So not only are American consumers and American businesses suffering, now the military is suffering as well. That's right, the moment you've all been waiting for. Trump has dropped a brutal bombshell on the military, and it has everybody deeply concerned.
Well, any footprint that women had in leadership roles across our military appears to be slowly diminishing. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is eliminating some of the highest ranks, and you guessed it, these are roles held by women. U.S. Navy Vice Admiral Shoshana Chatfield is now the 3rd top female officer to be dumped by the Trump administration. She was the only woman on NATO's military committee, and she was allegedly targeted for being woke by the conservative American Accountability Foundation. But the chief Pentagon spokesperson says that Chatfield was fired because of performance, stating that the Navy lost confidence in her ability to lead.
In another stunning attack on diversity and inclusion, the Trump administration has fired Vice Admiral Shoshana Chatfield, one of the Navy's highest-ranking women and a trailblazer who dared to say what data proves: diversity is a strength. Research shows that diverse teams drive greater innovation, and history backs it up. From Hedy Lamar's invention of frequency hopping technology, paving the way for Wi-Fi, to countless breakthroughs that only happened because different perspectives were at the table. But under Trump's watch, experience and achievement are now liabilities. Chatfield's removal follows a growing purge of military leaders branded too woke, a political loyalty test disguised as leadership reform. Instead of strengthening the military, Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth are gutting it, sending a dangerous message. Loyalty to Trump matters more than competence, history, or the Constitution itself.
This is just another attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion, because sadly, Republicans don't understand what it even is. Diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, it's not about just lowering standards to let minorities in. Again, if you assume that standards must be lowered in order to accommodate minorities, you're a bigot. All the DEI is supposed to do is it's supposed to make these opportunities more accessible for minorities. And again, this is because diversity benefits innovation. Specifically, it even benefits the military. So once again, we never saw wokeness destroy the military or wokeness destroy the economy. But now Trump's fight against wokeness is destroying the economy, and it's destroying the military. And last but not least, it's destroying any faith I had left in America.
Okay. Any comments on that? What do you think? Okay. No comments? Yeah, so like I said before, we see he attacking women, he attacking blacks. You know, he's like a typical redneck or racist. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna open up and we're gonna start reading out of Jubilees. I'm gonna read chapter 3, and if I feel the need to keep going, I'll keep going. But my objective is to read chapter 3, Jubilees. Okay. I'm in Jubilees chapter 3. It says, on the 6th day of the 2nd week, according to the word of God, we brought Adam and all the beasts and all the cattle and all the birds and everything that moves on the earth and everything that moves in the water according to their kind and according to their types. The beasts on the first day, cattle on the third day, the birds on the second day, and the birds on the third day, and all that moves in the earth on the fourth day, and that moves in the water on the fifth day. And Adam named them all by their specific names as he called them, so was their name. On these 5 days, excuse me, on these 5 days, Adam saw all these, male and female, according to every kind that was on the earth, but he was alone, and he found no helpmeet. So let's look at this right here, right quick. So go back to what was commanded Moses Noah before the flood. He says, take a male and a female of all flesh and put them on the ark. So let's look at it right here. What I just read. He says in verse 2, Adam named them all by their respective names as he called them, so was their name. Then third verse, chapter 3, verse 3. On these 5 days, Adam saw all these. It is. Go back to the commandment and Noah got. On these 5 days, Adam saw all these, male and female, according to every kind that was on the earth, but he was alone and found no helpmeet. So we know right here, when it says that the angel saw that Adam was alone, he had no helpmeet. Well, it's a male and a female already been created on the 6th day, so they're part of these people up here. So when he said, get a male and a female from all flesh, he was including the man and the woman that nobody seemed to know existed. See that? Verse 3. On these 5 days, Adam saw all these, male and female, according to every kind. This is what he was commanded, Noah was commanded. Male and female, according to every kind. So man was created on the 6th day, right? That was on the earth. But he was alone and found no helpmate. So verse 4, the Lord said unto us, these angels, 7 angels, it is not good that man should be alone. Let us make him a helpmate. Right? So like I said before, when you get to this, he's making Eve. He already made a man and a woman on the 6th day. So they included in these male and females up here. And same, they included in the commandment when he told them to go get a male and a female all flesh. Okay? 5. And the Lord our God caused deep sleep to fall upon him, and he slept. And he took from Adam, a rib from among his rib, or for the woman. And this rib was the origin of the woman. And he built up the flesh in its place and built the woman. He awakened Adam out of his sleep, and awakening he rose on the 6th day, and he brought her to him, and he knew her, and said to her, this is now bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called my wife, because she was taken from her husband. So we see right here what all that meant in the King James. Verse 6, he awakened Adam out of his sleep, and on awakening, he rose up on the 6th day, and he brought her to him, and he knew her. So they had sex. Same thing I said. He consummated the relationship right there. When the Lord brought the woman to her, he consummated it. They had sex. And then he says, and said to her, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called my wife. Why? Because he just consummated the relationship. Because she was taken from her husband, right? Therefore shall a man and his wife become one, and therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, cling to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. In the first week, Adam was created, and from his rib, his wife. And in the second week, God showed her to him, and for this reason, the commandment was given to keep in their defilement. A man shall be purified in 7 days, and for a female, twice 7 days. After Adam had completed 40 days in the land where he had been created, we brought him into the Garden of Eden to till it and keep it. But his wife we brought in on the 18th day. And after this, she entered into the Garden of Eden. And for this reason, the commandment is written on the heavenly tablets in regard to her that gives birth. If she bears a male, she shall remain unclean for 7 days according to the first week of days. And 33 days shall she remain in the blood of her purifying, and she shall not touch any holy thing, nor enter into the sanctuary until she complete these days which are decreed in the cause of a male child. But in the case of a female, she shall remain unclean 2 weeks a day, according to the first 2 weeks, and 66 days in the blood of her purification, and they will be in all 80 days. And when she had completed these 80 days, we brought her into the Garden of Eden, for it is holier than all the earth. Besides, and every tree that is planted in it is holy. Therefore, there was ordained regarding her who bears a male or a female child, the statute of those days, that she should touch no holy thing, nor enter into the sanctuary until these days for a male or a female child are completed. This is the law and the testimony that was written down for Israel in order that they should observe it all the days. In the first week of the first Jubilee, Adam and his wife were in the garden of Eden for 7 years, tilling and keeping it, and we gave him work, and we instructed him to do everything that is suitable for tillage. And he tilled the garden and was naked, and did not realize it, and was not ashamed. He protected the garden from the bird and the beasts that was kept and the cattle. He gathered his fruit and ate, and put aside that which was left over for himself and for his wife. After the completion of exactly 7 years there, and in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, the serpent came and approached the woman. And the serpent said unto the woman, as God commanded you, saying, ye should not eat of every tree of the garden. And she said that God said to us, of all the fruit of the trees of the garden, eat, but of the tree which is in the middle of the garden, God said to us, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. God doeth know that on the day that you eat thereof, your eyes will be open, and you will be as gods, and you will know good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree, that it was beautiful and pleasant to the eyes, and that its fruit was good for food, and she took of it and ate. First she covered her shame with fig leaves, and then she gave the fruit to Adam, and he ate, and his eyes were open, and he saw that he was naked. He took fig leaves, sewed them together, and made an apron for himself and covered his shame. God cursed the serpent and was very angry at it forever. And he was very angry with the woman because she listened to the voice of the serpent and ate. And he said to her, I will vastly multiply your sorrow and your pain. In sorrow you will bring forth children, and your master shall be your husband, and he will rule over you. To Adam also he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you not to eat, cursed be the ground for your sake. Thorns and thistles shall it produce for you, and you will eat your bread in the sweat of your face until you return to the earth from where you were taken. For earth you are, and to the earth you will return. And he made for them coats of skin, clothed them, sent them out from the garden of Eden. On that day on which Adam went out of the garden, he offered a sweet odor and a frankincense and a sweet spice and spices in the morning with the rising of the sun from the day when he covered his shame. So I thought that was pretty interesting, verse 27. So remember how we talked about the oblation, what the oblation was, they had to make a sacrifice in the morning when the temple was in existence. They made a sacrifice in the morning, a sacrifice at noon, and then they made one in the evening. But we see right here where the origins of it, right here, 21, 27. On the day on which Adam went out for the garden, he offered a sweet odor and offering, frankincense and incense, and a sweet spice and spices in the morning with the rising of the sun from the day when he covered his shame. So this is the origins of these observations. Okay, 28. On that day was closed the mouth of all beasts and of cattle and of birds and of whatsoever walked and of whatsoever moved, so that they could no longer speak, for they had had all spoken one with another, and with a dialect and with one language. So, according to this right here, in the very beginning, animals were speaking Hebrew. Everybody, the animals and man, was speaking. So when you know, it's another part of the story when you look at what was done at the Tower of Babel. And you say, well, what are you talking about? Well, we saw where the donkey talked to Balaam. Balaam was trying to make it go forward, and the angel was standing there. And the donkeys turned around and told Balaam, asked him, you don't see the angel standing there? Why you keep beating me like that? You don't see the angel standing there? So evidently, they confirmed this right here. At one time, all the animals was talking. So anyway, 28 says, on that day was closed the mouth of all the beasts, and of the cattle and the birds, and of whatsoever walketh, and of whatsoever moved, so that they could no longer speak. For they had all spoken one with another, with one dialect, and with one language. All flesh that was in the Garden of Eden, he sent out of the Garden of Eden, and all flesh was scattered according to his kind and according to his type, to the places that had been created for them. So we see right here, like I said, go to the tower. Mankind, he caused them where they couldn't communicate. He gave them all these different languages and scattered them. Well, before that, he did it to the animals. 29, all flesh that was in the Garden of Eden, he sent out of the Garden of Eden. All flesh was scattered. See that? According to its kind and according to its type, to the places that had been created for them. Of all the beasts and cattle only, to Adam alone, he gave the ability to cover his shame. Because of this, it is prescribed on heavenly tablets as touching all those who know the judgment of the law, that they should cover their shame and should not uncover themselves as the Gentiles uncover themselves. 32. On the new moon of the 4th month, Adam and his wife went out from the Garden of Eden, and they dwelt in the land of Edah, in the land of their creation. And Adam called the name of his wife Eve, and they had no son until the first Jubilee. And after this, he knew her. Now, he tilled the land as he had been instructed in the Garden of Eden. Okay, that was chapter 3, end of chapter 3. Any comments or questions on chapter 3? Anything stand out you want to talk about?
Shalom, everyone. Yes, sir. When they speak of the tablets, and this is first, they're speaking of the creation that happened in Genesis, in first chapter. Then they're speaking on Adam and Eve having been merged as one, and then they spoke on the serpent. So here with the heavenly tablets being presented in the first, I think it's verse 6. Let's see. Um, um, what does that mean? That the heavenly tablets.
Go to
The heavenly
Genesis,
tablets.
go to Genesis chapter 10 and read verse 21. I mean, Daniel chapter 10, verse 21.
Okay. And verse 21, you say?
Right, 20 and 21.
Daniel chapter 10, verse 21, because there's no chapter 20, 21.
Chapter 10, verse 20 and 21.
Okay, sorry. Then said he knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I am gone, for lo, the prince of, cannot pronounce the name, Grecia shall come. 21. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth, and there is none that holdeth with me in these things, but Michael, our prince.
So that's Gabriel talking. So he's telling you only him and Michael, the only one can look on these scriptures of truth. That's the same thing, these tablets. They in heaven. That's how these angels are able to come down and tell the prophets things that's going to happen in the future, because they're looking on the scripture of truth, the tablets in heaven. That's how Michael was able to come in Genesis 18, and he told Abraham that Sarah going to have a baby this time next year. And then not only that, he told him what to name it, because it's already written in the scriptures of truth in heaven.
Shalom. So during Adam and Eve's creation, the scriptures were in heaven to speak on Adam and Eve, like Enoch did.
Exactly. That's what Enoch was taking up. Enoch was taking up, and he saw all that, and he understood. And so it was given to Enoch, like he said, no other man, was nobody coming after him, and nobody before him that seen it all. So that's when they concocted JC. They put all the Enoch done on him, made it look like he was the man, son of man, but Enoch is the son of man. Michael tells him that you are the son of man. Right. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Shalom, Brother Leonard. As you were reading verses 10, 11, 12, and 13, that is, I thought about in the book of Leviticus, where it tells us about the purification times of the woman.
Right.
You know, how many days, what she can and cannot do. So, you know, when a woman, you know, was on her menstrual cycle, you know, she should not be cooking or sleeping with her husband, and definitely not entering the temple. So as you were reading those verses, I just thought about chapter 12 of Leviticus, and we see that these laws were in place even before, you know, that time. It's just a tradition. But now we've gotten, you know, away from that. We don't think about us being unclean when we're on our menstrual cycle, having children. We just, you know, carry on like it's basically nothing.
Right. So the menstrual cycle, the blood, all that, it ain't no different than the sun and the moon. When he said that the sun and the moon are for signs and wonders, same thing with that. Same thing with the circumcision. All that's for signs and wonders in Israel that we take for granted. You know, it's not respected. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why a lot of people don't understand what he's talking about in Ezekiel 37, when he said he's gonna raise the whole house of Israel up, and he's gonna bring them back to the land of Israel. But before they go, he's gonna cleanse them. So what is he talking about? This right here. And that's why he's gonna bring David, because David gonna enforce all this. Because right now we defiled, because we ain't doing none of this. So when they institute all this, that's how we get cleansed. All the stuff in the Torah is going to be reinstituted, because they know it. We don't know it. We've been cast out. We don't know it, but our forefathers They lived in the temple. They lived in the land of Israel, and they lived among the Lord of hosts and these angels. So they know exactly what's. When they died with that information. So when he raised them up, they're gonna be raised up with that information. That's why it says that's the purpose of Elijah, to bring our forefathers back to the children. Another thing about that too, that like I said, when the lies they got concocted. Notice what you were saying. It says in start at verse 9. After Adam had completed 40 days in the land where he had been created, he brought him into the Garden of Eden to till it and keep it. But his wife he brought in on the 80th day, and after this, she entered into the garden. So remember what he said, a male. This is another thing too. Like I said, when the Most High, the 10th plague that he did in Egypt, he made a statement. He said, they got Gentiles and the system they got in place got us thinking that we know that it's two different type of black folks. You got the Ham and you got Shem. Well, when he did the plague in the 10th plague, he said he did that to let everybody know it's a difference. There's a difference in the Egyptian and the Israelite. They ain't the same. So you got everybody hollering that the male child and the female child are the same. Well, he just told you right here, when a male child born, the woman is unclean for 14 days. When she have a male child, she unclean for 7 days. But when she have a girl, she unclean for 14 days. So what's that telling you? It's a difference in the male and the female, right? But this is my point to show you the lies. So right here, verse 9. Then he said you have to add 66 days to that because of the woman's menstrual. So all together the 14 days and the 66 days is 80 days. So right here, verse 9. So what they doing, I don't know if anybody caught it. We know it's a man and a woman was created on the 6th day, and then it's a Adam was created. Then he saw Adam needed a mate. Then he put him to sleep, made a woman. What they doing? They trying to make you think Adam and Eve was the one that was created. So see verse 9. After Adam had completed 40 days in the land where he had been created. See that? They trying to make Adam the created man. See that? Now watch this though. We brought him into the Garden of Eden to till it, right? But his wife, we brought in 80 days on the 80th day. See that? And after this, she entered into the garden. Well, she ain't got no woman, she ain't got no baby. 80 days is cause of the baby, right?
Yes, sir.
You the lie? That's a bald-faced lie, because she ain't got no babies. He said he brought Adam in first, then 80 days later. Well, you just told me over here what the 80 days is for. It's after she had a baby. She ain't got no baby. So keep going. You'll see what I'm talking about, right? So he says, but his wife, he brought in 80 days. And after this, she entered into the Garden of Eden. And for this reason, the commandment is written on the heavenly tablets. There it is. That's the scripture truth in regard to her that gives birth. See that? She ain't got no baby. And if she bears a male, she shall remain unclean for 7 days, according to the first week of days. And right, so that's 6 days in a Shabbat. Right? It says 33 days shall she remain in the blood of her purification, and she shall not touch any holy thing, nor enter into the sanctuary until she completes these days which are decreed in the case of a male child. See that? She ain't got no child. That's a lie. Because when you keep on reading, you're gonna see that she encountered the serpent. She encountered the serpent after that, and the serpent ain't had she ain't had no baby when she met the serpent. But right here, she said, in order for her to come into the garden, it's 80 days. And then that's when she encountered the serpent when she was in the garden. So she ain't had no babies before she met this garden. That's what I'm talking about right here. This how you uncover the lies. In the comments. Okay, I'm gonna read one more chapter. Chapter 4. It says, in the third week in the second Jubilee, she gave birth. See right here? This is after that. After she came in the garden. And you saying that you waited 80 days for her to come into the garden. And the 80 days is for having a child. Now she in the garden, then here you go. In the chapter 4, in the third week, in the second Jubilee, she gave birth to Cain. And in the fourth week of the Jubilee, she gave birth to Abel. It's after that. So who the kids is over why you held up for 80 days? Because you trying to mix the 6-day man and Adam all make them one. Okay, say in the first year of the third Jubilee, Cain killed Abel because God had accepted the sacrifice of Abel and did not accept the offering of Cain. And he killed him in the field, and his blood cried from the ground to heaven, complaining because he had killed him. And the Lord blamed Cain because he had killed Abel, and he made him a fugitive on the earth because of the blood of his brother, and he cursed him on the earth. And because of this, it is written on the heavenly tablets, cursed is he who kills his neighbor treacherously, and let all who have seen and heard say, so be it. And the man who has seen and not reported it, let him be accused as one committing it. So like I was saying before we go back, we so defiled, we have no clue. So right here, it says like right today, a man and a woman married, and then you see the man doing such and such, and that he ain't supposed to be doing to her, you supposed to confront them right there. Because of, look what happened with Achan and his wife when they stole the stuff, and the whole nation of Israel got rowdy by AI because of the sin. One sin, that sin that him and his wife done carried over to all the Israelites. So when you see sin and you don't report it, the whole Israel gonna be affected. And it's still happening today. So anyway, it says, verse 6, for this reason we announce we will come before the Lord our God, all the sin that is committed in heaven and on the earth and in light and in the darkness and everywhere. And Adam and his wife mourned for Abel 4 weeks, the years, and in the fourth year of the fifth week, they became joyful. And Adam knew his wife again, and she gave birth to a son, called his name Seth. And he said, God has raised up a second offspring to us on the earth instead of Abel, for Cain killed him. Now here you go. See it right here. This is what I mean by right dividing the word. So Adam, verse 7, Adam and his wife mourned for Abel, right? For 4 weeks or years. And in the fourth year of the fifth week, they became joyful, right? Adam knew his wife again, and she she gave birth to a son, right? And called his name Seth. And for he said, Adam, God has raised up a second offspring. See that? So Cain ain't on his offspring. You got Abel. Cain killed Abel. Now you have Seth the second offspring of Adam. Cain ain't on his son. They tell you that right there. See that? The second offspring.
Yes, sir.
To us on the earth instead of Abel. Cain ain't on his son. Then it said, for Cain killed Abel. See, Cain a beast. He ain't come from Adam. Same with Esau. If you rightly divide this, go there and you can rightly divide Esau too. He's telling you how he looked. He ain't on Jacob's son. I mean, Abraham's son or Isaac's son. So keep going. It says, in the sixth week, he begot his daughter Azura, and Cain took A1, his sister, to be his wife, and she gave birth to Enoch, at the close of the fourth Jubilee. See how they tricking this off? They put two girls in the picture and one of them Cain got one of them. But we just saw Cain ain't none of his Cain ain't none of his son. So why would you give your daughter to Cain? Adam, why would he give his daughter to Cain? No. So anyway, 9, and Cain took A1, his sister, to be his wife, and she gave birth to Enoch at the close of the fourth Jubilee. And in the first year of the first Jubilee of the fifth Jubilee, houses were built on the earth. And Cain built the city and called the name of the city after his son Enoch. Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she gave birth to a total of 9 sons. In the fifth week, in the fifth Jubilee, Seth took Ezra, his wife, Azura, his sister, to be a wife. And in the fourth year of the sixth week, he gave birth to Enos. He began to call on the name of the Lord. Okay, yeah, let me see. He began to call on the name Enos. And he began to call on the name of the Lord on the earth. And in the seventh Jubilee, in the third week, Enos took known his sister to be his wife, and he gave birth to a son in the third year of fifth week, and he called his name Kenan. At the close of the eighth Jubilee, Canaan took Methuselah, his sister, to be his wife, and she gave birth to a son in the ninth Jubilee in the first week, in the third year of the week, and called his name Mahaliah. In the second week of the 10th Jubilee, Mahaliah took to him a wife, Dinah, daughter of Barkel, the daughter of his father's brother, and she gave birth to a son in the third week, in the sixth year, and called his name Jared. For in his days the angels of the Lord descended on the earth, those who are named the watchers, that they should instruct the children of man, and that they should do judgment and uprightness on the earth. So see that how that was. We read over that, but it says, for in his days the angels of the Lord descended on the earth, and those whose names were watchers. See, so this was a righteous intention right here, that they should instruct. They came here not with evil intentions. They came that they should instruct the children of men, and that they should do judgment and uprightness on earth. That's why they came, not with no evil intention. But after they got here, that's when they crossed the line, right? 16. In the 11th Jubilee, Jared took to himself a wife, and her name was Baraka, daughter of Razajah, a daughter of his father's brother. In the fourth week of this Jubilee, and she gave birth to a son in the fifth week, in the fourth year of the Jubilee, and called his name Enoch. And he was the first among men that are born on the earth, or who learned writing and knowledge and wisdom, and who wrote down the signs of heaven according to the order of their months in a book, that men might know the seasons of the years according to the order of their separate months. So Enoch was the first one. Right? I want you to know that. Enoch was the first one, like I said. Okay? And then 18, and he was the first to write a testimony, and he testified to the sons of men among the generations of the earth, and recounted the weeks of the Jubilees, and made known to them the days of the years, and set in order the months, and recounted the Sabbaths of the years, as we made them known to him. So let's look at this, because this is big right here. So it says Enoch was the first one to write all this stuff down, right? So go to after the flood. So what they had was what Noah had was the book of Enoch. Because the Torah was given to Moses. Michael gave the Torah to Moses because he gave him all the history of the world from the beginning to when he was born. So what they was reading when it says that Abraham went to Shem's house and he learned all the knowledge of how to study the stars, how to the days and the seasons. All that was in the book of Enoch. Yeah, let me read it again. 17. He was the first among men. Enoch was the first among men that are born on the earth who learned writing. See that? And knowledge and wisdom, and who wrote down the signs of heaven according to the order of their months in a book, that men might know the seasons of the years according to the order of their separate months, right? Order of Melchizedek. But anyway, so that's what they got. That's why they so hit. That's why they so hit set on diluting the book of Enoch. So this is what they had. This is what Noah and them had. Shem had they had the book of Enoch. That's why he was taken up. He came back with these books. So when he said Abraham went to Shem's house, this is what he was getting. They was dealing with the book of Enoch. Okay. Then 18. This chapter 4, verse 18. He was the first to write a testimony, and he testified to the sons of men among the generations on the earth, and recounted the weeks of Jubilees, made known to them the days of the years, and set in order the months, and recounted the Sabbaths of the years as we made them known unto him. See that? These 7 angels. Book of Enoch. And what was and what will be, he saw in a vision in his sleep. And it will happen to the children of men throughout their generation until the day of judgment. So all that was given to Enoch. He saw and understood everything. And he wrote in his testimony, placed the testimony on the earth for all the children of men for their generation. So that's what they had, the book of Enoch. And in the 12th, that's why it's so much more information in that than it is in King James. Anyway, in the 20th Jubilee, in the 7th week of it, he took to himself a wife, and her name was Edna, the daughter of Daniel, the daughter of his father's brother. And in the 6th year of his weeks, he gave birth to a son, and he called his name Methuselah. He was with the angels of God these 6 jubilees of years, and they showed him everything. Yeah, they put all this off on JC, and he was with the angels of God these 6 jubilees of years, and they showed him everything that is on the earth and in heaven, the rule of the sun, right? And he wrote down everything. He wrote down everything, and he testified to the watchers who had sinned with the daughters of men, for these have begun to unite themselves so as to defile with the daughters of men, and Enoch testified against them. See that? And he was taken from among the children of men, and he conducted him into the Garden of Eden in majesty and honor. And there he wrote down the condemnation and the judgments of the world and all the wickedness of the children of men. So let's go back and look at this. 23. He was taken from the children of men, right? Look where he went. And he was conducted him into the Garden of Eden. He was conducted into the Garden of Eden in majesty and honor. And there in the Garden of Eden, he wrote down the condemnation and the judgment of the world and all the wickedness of the children of men. So now go back to when you read the scriptures, when Jacob died, he was gathered unto his fathers. His fathers in the Garden of Eden. Let that turn me. 24. Because of it, God brought the waters of the flood on all the land of Edom, for there he was set as a sign, and that he should testify against all the children of men, that he should recount all the deeds of the generations until the day of the condemnation. He burnt the incense of the sanctuary, even sweet spices, according to before the Lord on the mount. The Lord has 4 places on the earth: the Garden of Eden, the mount to the east, and this mountain on which you are today, Mount Sinai, and Mount Zion, which will be sanctified in a new creation for a sanctification of the earth, and through it will the earth be sanctified from all its guilt and its uncleanness throughout all the generations of the world. And the 14th Jubilee, Methuselah took to himself a wife, Edna, the daughter of Azrael, the daughter of his father's brother, in the 3rd week, in the first year of this week. And he begot a son and called his name Lamech. And in the 15th Jubilee, in the 3rd week, Lamech took to himself a wife, and her name was Bechanos, the daughter of Barakiel, the daughter of his father's brother. And in this week, she gave birth to a son and called his name Noah, saying, "This one will comfort me for my trouble and for my work, and for the ground which the Lord has cursed." At the close of the 19th Jubilee, in the 7th week, in the 6th year of it, Adam died, and all his sons buried him in the land of his creation, and he was the first to be buried in the earth. He lacked 70 years. He lacked 70 years of 1,000 years. That's one day, because 1,000 years are as one day in the testimony of the heavens. Therefore was it written concerning the tree of knowledge, on the day that you eat of it, you shall die. Because of this, he did not complete 1,000 years, but instead he died doing it. At the close of this Jubilee, Cain was killed after him in the same year, because his house fell on him, and he died in the middle of his house, and he was killed by its stones, which a stone he had killed Abel, and by a stone by a stone was killed in the righteous judgment. For this reason it was ordained on heavenly tablets, with the instrument with which a man kills his neighbor, with the same shall he be killed. In the same manner that he wounded him, in like manner shall they deal with him. In the 25th Jubilee, Noah took to himself a wife, and her name was Zara, daughter of Rachel, the daughter of his father's brother, in the 1st Jubilee, in the 5th week. And in the 3rd year of it, she gave birth to Shem. In the 5th year of it, she gave birth to Ham. And in the 1st year, in the 6th week, she gave birth to Japheth. So that was chapter 4. Any comments or questions on that?
Shalom. And when they're speaking on the Jubilee is 25 years or 50 years, or it can be 25 years or 50 years. When they're talking about how many years apart that these children were born. When they said in the first Jubilee, in the 2nd Jubilee, in the 3rd and the 4th, is they're speaking on years between the children.
You got to understand what a Jubilee is. He says the creation from on the earth, man is 6 days a man work, the 7th day the man rest, right? That's days. 6 days you work, 7th day you rest. Well, the earth is 6 years, and the 7th day the earth rests. So you got a week of days, but you got a week of years. Seven years is a week of years. So 7 times 7 is 49. The 50th year, the Jubilee. So every 50 years is Jubilee.
Shalom. But when they was speaking on having the children, Cain, when Eve had Cain, and then when Eve had Adam, and then when Eve had Shem, they were speaking on the Jubilee. So if it's the second Jubilee, she gave birth to Cain, and then on the fourth,
Right. You got to look at what it says. It says the second Jubilee in the third week. So what is he talking about? That's 100 years. 2 Jubilees is 100 years. And then the second week, what's the second week? Well, it's 7 weeks in a Jubilee. So second week, so it's 100 years, 7 and 7. So then the second week. So you're looking at 108 years, 109 years. You got 7. You got 7 Jubilee. You got 7 weeks in a Jubilee.
So by this being read, Cain and Abel were not twins. She had them separately.
No, it's not. No, we know they was twins because he said they was. She had Cain, and then Cain, she continued in birth and had Abel. And then we go to Japhet. We go to Esau and Jacob, the same thing. Twins in their womb. We go to Tamar. You know, contrary to what they wrote in there, all you have to do is see. Most High said he changed not. He's looking and see how Esau and Jacob was born, was twins. We seen, and then you got to look at what's going on at the time. At every one of those times, and when Jacob was born, Jacob is the father of the Israelites. So that's a crossroad. Twins born in the garden. There's a crossroad. Twins born. When Judah, David, is a crossroad. Twins was born. That's how you got to look at that.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else got anything? Okay, we're gonna do our scripture breakdown. Michelle, you're gonna do that, and then we'll
yes, sir. Yes, I will. Genesis chapter 1.
Okay.
I'm gonna read verse 3 and 4, sir, but also ask the question that has to do with the fourth day. You can explain that. Genesis 1 verses 3 and 4. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. So it speaks of light here on the first day, and also of light on the fourth day. But what it says, for seasons and for days, years and wonders. I know that's the stars, moon, sun, right? Signs and wonders. But I was just wanting to know if you could expound on Genesis 1 verses 3 and 4, that light.
That's what I was talking about earlier about David got a glory, Most High got a glory, Michael got a glory. So that's this kind of glory, the light that comes from Michael and from the Lord. When they came, they returned into the earth. When you understand there was a flood, and when you come to Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, they returned into the earth from what Satan had done. He had the earth. He had called, well, not only the earth, he had called the whole universe. He had judged the whole universe. The whole universe was total darkness. And so then he come the Lord of hosts and Yahweh coming to return into it. That's their glory. That's the light that you're looking at. Like it says, he moving upon the depths of the water. So you gotta just look at that. He got a glory on him. So when he comes, he bringing light. And another way to rightly divide it, when you understand, like I said before, we see The animals got scattered in the very beginning. And then at the Tower of Babel, mankind got scattered. And then Israel got scattered. And his word got scattered. The word wasn't kept intact because he said he's going to hide himself from us. So the way he hid himself from us was scatter the word. He scattered us, tore the temple down. We don't even know where Jerusalem at. They didn't use them. We don't know where Jerusalem at. We don't know nothing. That's how he hid from us. But now we see him bringing it back together. So that's how that works. So we see in the book of Bartholomew, Satan tells you exactly what happened in the beginning. And he said that they was cast out into utter darkness. Him and those angels, the fight that him and Michael had, he was cast out into utter darkness. And they don't know how long. We know how cold it is in outer space. They just floating in outer space. Him and these fallen angels that was with him, the 30 that was cast out, they floated in utter darkness. Then when the Most High and Michael and these angels came back to the earth to revisit the earth, the light they brought shined on them. And then he said they awakened. From the Most High, from the Lord's glory. When he came back to return to the earth, and then that's like he just said, then he came into the garden where Adam and Eve was at. When the glory of the Lord shined on them, they awakened. He said he the first one awakened. So that's what that is. It's kind of glory. That's why David, in those psalmists, in the book of Psalms, they keep saying, "Shine forth, Lord, shine forth, awake and shine forth." Right? Even Satan, they said he's the shining one. He got a light on him. So, like I said, you let that firmate when you got to look at the whole picture and look at it. It's not a the sun and the moon wasn't there in the beginning. He tells you when he created the sun and the moon. So where this other light came from? It came from him. And then, and how you know that another way, at the end, he says that when he return, it ain't gonna need no light. He gonna be the light. Ain't gonna need no sun and the moon. He gonna be the light. Okay. Everybody good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So with that being said, yeah, let me play. I got a poem right here. I'm gonna play it and then I'll close out.
Sin slowly creeped in. Excuse after excuse, I did it again and again. Sin suffocated my life, causing chaos and confusion. Sin kept me unfocused, living in full-time delusion. See, sin is like a virus that is running through my veins. Initially laying dormant, releasing more pleasure than pain. But eventually the sinful virus became inflamed. I could feel the rush of the disease growing until it could no longer be tamed. You ask me, why would I allow sin to have this much control? Why would I give up my freedom? Because that was never my goal. So I sit here perplexed and my spirit is vexed. I begin to feel desperation because my life was a mess. Praying, God, if you're real, you gotta help me because I can't see through. My vision is blinded and I can't see you. Then I begin to go back and forth in my mind. Do I give God my time or do I let sin's destruction incline? There was warfare happening in the depths of my soul. The devil wanted me to stay, but I really wanted to go. So in that moment, I just dropped to my knees. In that moment, I screamed, God, help me, please. I am desperate. I am desperate, but yet I can't even decide. I am desperate, God. In you, I need to hide. Because the devil is chasing after me full force. I am exhausted and I can't maintain this course. Out of my desperation, God began to speak. He said, I've always loved you. I was just waiting on you to speak. But God, I know I'm hurting, but I'm not ready to let go. God, God said there's a sacrifice you must give. Relinquish control. Everything you need, I'll be. Everything you need, I'll be. This is what God began to minister to me. Everything you need, I'll be. I'll cover the hole in your soul, but you must be willing to be broken in order to be made whole. So draw nigh to me and your heart I'll remold. See, the victory is yours because the price I already paid. No, you don't deserve it, but by my grace you are saved. The path to freedom is only paved one way. The choice is yours, so choose ye this day.
Okay. So with that being said, I wanted to give y'all a little friendly reminder. Prophets of Awakening, Israel Wake Up could use some support. I mean, if it ain't, it can be $1, like the mic, the widow's mic. But I'm just putting it out there. So if anybody feel the need to or get the urging to, it's all good. So with that being said, shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who the God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.